So, guys, there is a lot of drama in the city of Tshwane after the DA mayor of Tshwane, Cilliers Brink, was removed through the motion of no confidence. The city council took place yesterday and 120 votes voted in favor of the motion. 87 votes voted against the motion and there was one abstinence. So as we speak, the city does not have the leader and the city has 14 days to elect a new mayor. So we will see how that is going to go. So a party that actually played a vital role in all of this is Action SA. We know that Action SA was part of the multi-party coalition that was governing Tshwane, but for some reason Action SA has decided to withdraw from the multi-party coalition to go and work with the ANC and the EFF to remove the DA mayor of Tshwane. So one of the reasons why Action SA has decided to withdraw from the multi-party coalition and to go and work with the ANC and the EFF to remove the DA's mayor of Tshwane is because, according to Action SA has decided to ditch the DA and work with the ANC instead, citing the DA's arrogance as one of the reasons why they had to part ways. In a statement following the Brink's removal, Action SA mentioned the stark difference between the services provided in urban areas versus in the townships. So Action SA says that if you really look at what is happening in Tshwane, when one looks at the difference between suburban and township communities in Tshwane, the real problem emerges. In suburban communities, 64% of the respondents indicated an improvement in service delivery, while in townships, this number was as low as 24%. So Action SA says that you people are not being fair. You guys are only governing for the people in the suburbs and you are not governing for the people in townships. Of course, the DA says that this is nonsense. What Action SA is saying is it is nonsense. And according to the ANC says that no, the reason why we actually pushed for the motion of no confidence is because this DA's mayor of Tshwane was not prioritizing the service delivery and he was actually misusing the city's money. So guys, I want us to actually go through the reactions from these political parties, but we are going to start with the former mayor of Tshwane, Msimanga. Msimanga actually had a conversation with the Newsroom Africa just before the motion took place, and this is what Msimanga had to say.
The African National Congress a little bit later on around what their plan is. But someone who is quite well versed with the happenings of today would of course be the former mayor of Tshwane, Mr. Msimanga, who is of course leadership of the DA in the province. Mr. Msimanga, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Seemingly confident from the Democratic Alliance this morning as you speak to your supporters on that stage. But are you not concerned that the numbers simply will stand against you as we get into that council sitting?
Well, we are concerned that somebody who has been a partner of ours, an organization that had been a partner of ours, decided to then start betraying, the partnership that has been built. I've heard stories about how they feel they've been bullied and betrayed and all of that. All the other parties have been here. You've seen the Freedom Front has been here, ACDP has been here, IFP has been here, we have been here. So if they are saying that the coalition was not working as it's supposed to be working, then why are the other parties still here? And that is something that, you need to be asking, or we need to be asking. So we are concerned that, the work that has been started, the work that themselves as Action SA a month ago have actually then praised and said, they are very much confident and comfortable with the future in the way that things are going. But now all of a sudden decided to wake up because Herman Mashaba was sitting somewhere in New York typing on his, while watching tennis, typing on his Twitter account to then say that he wants out. And therefore then he comes back and then this is what it is. 6 million people are going to be betrayed today. They're not going to be betrayed by the people that are here. They're going to be betrayed by those that have decided that they're going to put their personal egos ahead of, a working and stable government that has been put here in Tshwane.
We're using the word betrayal a lot, aren't we? I mean, one of the arguments that has been put forward by the party that is Action SA is that the Democratic Alliance betrayed the vision of the multi-party charter in the run-up to this election by saying that you will not work with the African National Congress at national level. Is this what is essentially leading to the souring relationship between Action SA and the Democratic Alliance here at local level?
No. You would
But to be fair, if the DA decided not to work with African National Congress after the elections, it was going to be clear the ANC was going to work with EFF and Umkhonto weSizwe, and this is something that the DA has said for the longest time, that if we have to get into coalition with the ANC so that we can stop this what do they call it, the doomsday coalition of Umkhonto weSizwe and the MK party, this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do to save the country from the coalition of the EFF, MK party and the ANC. So the DA did just that. So to say that now the Action SA feels betrayed because the DA said they will never work with African National Congress, but after the elections, the ANC, the DA went ahead and worked with the African National Congress. But truth of the matter is that, like it had to be done. It had to be done. According to the DA, it had to be done, because if the DA didn't put themselves in that position, right now, as we speak, the country would be governed by ANC, MK party, and the EFF. And I'm sure this is something that even Action SA would hate.
Remember, we've been very, very clear from day one that we will stop a doomsday coalition from being formed. We were very clear about that. That meant that if we had to make sure that, we get the numbers, and we were hoping that we brought our numbers, we were hoping that Action SA, as they'd been promising that they will get the numbers, astronomical numbers, they didn't get. They only get what? 1-2 seats at a national level. They got only 3 at a provincial level. That is not how you form government. And therefore, we want and brought our numbers in. We were hoping that they will bring their numbers in, so they cannot betray. They cannot then say that we betrayed them by ensuring that South Africans at the end of the day avoid a doomsday coalition and form a coalition that is working. The economy is now moving in the right direction. We are seeing the rand getting strength. We are seeing investor confidence now building up very nicely. That talks to the GNU that is in place, and where now we see the future of South Africa, again, as the president would even have said, a second miracle then beginning to take place. What has happened at a local level is that Mashaba has miscalculated, when they thought that we are not going to be able to then form a government of national unity. That was formed. He stayed out of it, and now he's trying to wiggle his way in through the local situation, and that's unfortunate.
Let me ask you one last question.
And again, man, because right now, Action SA says that we want to work with the ANC, we no longer want to work with the DA. This is the reason why I said that Action SA and Build One South Africa, I think they actually made a mistake by not being part of the government of national unity. They made a mistake by actually staying on the side, because right now, Action SA, it looks like they are trying to squeeze themselves in this government of national unity, because even Action SA themselves, they said that we will never work with the ANC, but today the Action SA is working with the ANC. So if it makes sense why Action SA can work with the ANC, I'm sure it has to make sense why the DA can work with the ANC. I'm sure. So it was a mistake on the part of Action SA and Build One South Africa to not be part of the government of national unity, because I remember they said they are going to form a, how do they call it? The coalition that actually has I forgot what do they call it. They say they are going to form in governance, and I said, guys, Action SA and Build One South Africa, they need to understand that MK Party and the EFF and the whole progressive left, they are going to treat them the same way they treat the political parties in the government of national unity. So it makes sense if these people be part of the government of national unity, so that they can be hated for something that is real. Because right now, as we speak, the Action SA and Build One South Africa, they are being treated as if they are part of the government of national unity. If you can hear to the EFF speak about the Action SA, if you listen to Umkhonto weSizwe speak about the Action SA, just listen to what is this political party, ATM, speak about Action SA, you would swear they speak about the people that are in the government of national unity, because as far as they are concerned, these people are funded by the same funders that are funding the political parties in the government of national unity. So they deserve the same treatment. So it doesn't make sense for why they decided to stay out of the government of national unity, because they will get the same treatment as the parties in the GNU.
What are the conversations that are happening with the ANC at provincial level? We know that with the formation of GPU, for instance, things not looking very good for the Democratic Alliance's relationship where that's concerned. What is that looking like at the moment at provincial level? Is there a chance that the DA could repair that relationship with the African National Congress?
Well, we have written to the ANC at a provincial level. We have stated that we're still very much engaged, wanting to engage with them to make sure that there is not a minority government, but there's a majority government that is able to then stay, the 5-year term, and actually that ensure that there is stability. But there's also an engagement even at the local level. I can tell you right now that we have been engaging with the local structures of different political parties to bring in stability not only in Tshwane but across a number of municipalities. In Ekurhuleni, in Johannesburg, we want to make sure that these municipalities don't have to have these motions of no confidence every 2-3 months leading to the 2026 local government elections. And that's the conversations that we've been having.
I mean, like, one thing that the DA needs to realize is that the ANC is squeezing them out of Gauteng. The ANC is squeezing them out of Gauteng. Do you remember what happened with Panyaza Lesufi and his people? You remember what happened with Panyaza Lesufi and his people? Right now, as we speak, Panyaza Lesufi is the premier of Gauteng. He does not even have enough seats to actually make anything. Panyaza Lesufi is governing Gauteng as a minority government, and he's doing everything in his power to make sure that the DA does not have the power. So the DA actually needs to understand that this is not the last. After Tshwane, they are going to Ekurhuleni. After Tshwane, they are going to Ekurhuleni. The DA's mission in Gauteng is to make sure that the DA is nowhere to be found. This is something that the DA needs to realize, that they are being squeezed out in Gauteng. They are being squeezed out in Gauteng by the ANC.
So Msimanga, thank you so much for speaking to us. Iman, I'll send it back to you.
They are being squeezed out in Gauteng. This is what the DA actually needs to understand. That the ANC is working day and night to make sure that the DA is nowhere to be found, especially in Gauteng. They are making sure that the DA is nowhere to be found. They are making sure that the DA is nowhere to be found. So I want us to actually hear from the man himself, Herman Mashaba, because Herman Mashaba, as you can imagine, he's pretty happy that the DA's mayor is out. He's pretty happy that the DA mayor is out. Let's hear what Herman Mashaba has to say about his sudden working relationship with the African National Congress.
Africa anchor Stephen Curtis joins us now from the Tshwane City Council. Stephen, what an interesting morning with a picket outside City Council, the machinations inside the chamber itself, this matter now postponed. I'm just recalling a year ago, August, Action SA leader Herman Mashaba says, count me out of any coalition that includes the, quote, criminal ANC, and its party is created to eject the ANC. And a year later, they are bedfellows. As they say in politics, no permanent enemies or friends, only permanent interests. And I think that's relevant to what we're seeing in the city this morning as things play out.
Iman, absolutely. I mean, one of the famous quotations around coalition politics in South Africa is we'll double cross that bridge when we come to it. Well, let's put the point that you're making to Herman Mashaba. He is, of course, the leader of Action SA, and it is he who has said that he's now prepared to work with the ANC. And you will remember, Iman, how many times Herman Mashaba has told all of us that he would never work with the ANC and that he had only entered politics to remove the ANC from power. Well, he's with us now. Herman, good morning. Thanks very much indeed. If you vote with the ANC today, aren't you and Action SA finished in South African politics?
Absolutely. Action SA you'll see a massive spike in growth of Action SA because our supporters, our members and our structures on the ground actually, to Stephen, to just really give you a sense of how angry our structures are. When we took this decision, and this decision, Stephen, triggered...
And guys, before Herman Mashaba actually continues, how do you think that this is going to play out for Action SA in the upcoming elections? How do you think it's going to play out for Action SA? Do you think that Action SA's support is going to spite in the words of Herman Mashaba, or do you think that the party is going to go down? Please tell me in the comment sections, how do you think this is going to play out for Action SA? Do you think that the supporters of Action SA are really in favor of what Herman Mashaba and the leadership of the party is trying to do? Or do you think that the supporters of Action SA are against what Herman Mashaba and the leader of the party and the leaders of the party are trying to do? Guys, please tell me on the comment sections.
And we took this decision, and this decision, Stephen, triggered by DA national leadership talking to ANC national leadership to remove us from Tshwane. That issue really took us by absolute surprise, because we thought we are working together. We were beginning to see improvement, obviously minor, but it was improvement. If you look at DA since 2016 when they took over the city of Tshwane. So all of a sudden we hear the DA wants to remove us and work with the ANC, and I said no. But this is unbelievable. So when the ANC approached us, by then, personally, I'd already made up my mind. I've got to really look at options. And when they approached us, I said, the ANC, we are happy to talk to you. However, before we take our own decision as the leadership, please allow us to consult our structures to ensure that our decision is actually informed by our structures as well. So our structures have given us a clear mandate to cut our relationship with the DA. But, however, Stephen, this council of the city of Tshwane, it's two parties, ANC-led grouping and the DA-led grouping. Without Action SA, none of the two can form a government, unless ANC and DA can come together and form government. So it is for that reason, because we are cutting our relationship with the DA, we said to the ANC, we are happy to talk, and unfortunately those talks have not really started because they wanted us to talk immediately after I make the pronouncement. But the ANC national leadership requested them to say, unfortunately, DA is putting pressure on us. We said, guys, take your time. We as Action SA, we don't mind. We are cutting our relationship with the DA regardless of your decision.
So all of that may be true, and you may talk about your...
And guys, it's really like notable that like the ANC is winning, man. If you really think about it, ANC is winning. ANC is winning. To start, all of these political parties said that they are never going to work with the ANC, but today all of them, they are working with the ANC. And these political parties working with the ANC, they are just giving the ANC more power. Even on the national level. Right now, the ANC is governing the country as if they won the elections. The ANC, they are the ones, they are still calling the shots about everything that needs to be done. The ANC, on one hand, they come out and say that there is not a single political party that is going to implement its own policies. The policies that are going to be implemented are the policies of the government of national unity. But the same ANC turns around and implement its own policies. So the ANC is winning. The ANC is winning. All of these political parties are bickering at each other. But at the end of the day, the ANC is winning. You really have to give it up to the ANC, man. You really have to give it up to the ANC. All of these people, they are giving the ANC the power. They are giving the ANC the power. You remember even in Johannesburg, they got rid of that guy from Al Jama, that Gwamanda guy, and ANC put their person there, Dada Morero. And now we are speaking about the mayor of Tshwane, Cilliers Brink, who was the DA mayor of Tshwane, Cilliers Brink. He has been removed through the motion of no confidence, and you can bet that the city of Tshwane is now going to be led by the ANC mayor. So all of these people, man, like the ANC keeps winning. The ANC keeps winning. They keep winning.
Your structures, but voters are the ones that really matter. And you promised voters, you, Herman Mashaba, promised voters you'd never work with the ANC. And isn't the risk to you right now that the ANC and the DA do cut a deal? Standing right where you are now, George Machila, just an hour ago, the ANC regional secretary for Tshwane said that, you know, the way he was speaking, it was clear that it's possible that this could end up in an ANC and DA deal. And if that happens, Where are you? You're left twisting in the wind.
Absolutely. Action SA will be happy to sit on the opposition benches as long as we know that we don't have to really wash our backs any longer. That's why we never put any. Once we made the announcement, official announcement of cutting our relationship with the ANC and ANC not being able to continue having the discussion with us, we said to them, ANC, take your time, listen to your national leadership. Action SA is happy to be on the opposition benches. One thing for sure, Stephen, we consulted our structures. I can tell you, Stephen, when we took a decision as Senate to run a 2 or 3 weeks review, our own structures actually at one stage wanted to defy us because they wanted us to cut the relationship just there and there because they are the people at the coalface who actually suffered from DA insults and toxic relationship.
Okay, so we may have a situation where by the end of the day, probably by the end of the evening, frankly, the ANC and yourselves and others are able to remove Cilliers Brink as the mayor of Tshwane. What's going to happen after that? I mean, the ANC doesn't seem to be clear. Do you know what's going to happen after that?
Well, one thing I can tell you, in the event of Cilliers Brink being removed, that would obviously give us an indication that ANC and DA never agreed. And we will never allow the city not to really have government. We are happy to entertain the discussions with the ANC. And I actually met some of their leaders this morning, ever since I met them 3-4 weeks ago. I said, guys, let's see if your motion serves, if it succeeds. We're happy to really talk to put together a government that can serve the residents of the city of Tshwane.
Okay, so the quote from the interview so far is Herman Mashaba, happy to entertain working with the ANC, right?
No, let me tell you, Stephen, 28th of May 2024, parties who are today in the so-called government of national unity, show me a single one of them that was prepared to work with the ANC. On the 28th of May.
Sure, none of them ever said they entered politics to...
But again, Herman Mashaba, even after these political parties said that, okay, we have to work with the African National Congress because there is a coalition that we are trying to stop in the country. Now, I'm speaking for the DA. They said, okay, we're going to work with the ANC regardless. Even with the political parties that were in the multi-party, you know that most of the political parties in the multi-party coalition, they said that, no, we're never going to work with the ANC, but as soon as the chance arrived, they went in to work with the African National Congress. You look at the IFP, you remember IFP, what IFP used to say about the ANC? No, we are never going to work with the ANC. No, what the hell, we are never going to work with the ANC. Freedom Farm Plus, there is no way we're going to work with the same people that have destroyed the country. But today, as we speak, all of those political parties are working with the ANC. And Action SA criticized those guys and said that, guys, how can you work with the ANC after spending so much time telling South Africans that you will never work with the ANC? And some of those political parties said, no, man, we have to get into the government of national unity because if we really want to affect change, we're going to have to be within, we're going to have to make we're going to have to be in the tables where the decisions are made. This is the reason why some of the political parties decided to join the government of national unity because they want to sit in the tables where the decisions are made to represent their people. But Action SA said, no, we are never going to get into the government of national unity. But right now, it looks like Action SA and Herman Mashaba in particularly, they are reconsidering this whole thing of the government of national unity. So they are now working back on what they have said before. This is the reason why today they are so friendly about saying, yeah, we are open to working with African National Congress.
Remove the ANC as you did.
Yes, absolutely, but it's obviously personal interpretation. All of them said they will never work with the ANC. And also, I think, Stephen, please bear this in mind, as human beings take decisions based on prevailing circumstances. You don't decide as a human beings out of emotions. You act and respond to prevailing circumstances. Right now, what we said, whatever time and what is happening today, completely, totally different environment. And I think for us, I've always been so grateful of myself of being a human being because God has given me this little brain to use to enable me to navigate this challenging world. And I can tell you this is what we are doing. We're reacting to a prevailing environment where we thought we'll work with the DA, but they made it impossible for us. Now we've got to try other options. The only option we have right now is to talk to the ANC. Otherwise, we will plunge the city party into chaos.
Let me put it to you like this, okay? I think what happened is this, and you tell me whether I'm right or not. In fact, I know you're going to disagree, but let me put it to you. Is that what happened was, there was the election. You looked at the results, and you thought, I'm going to be true and consistent to everything I've said. I'm never going to work with the ANC, which, by the way, would have kept you apart from all the other parties who had said they'd never work with the ANC and then did. You, Herman Mashaba, would be the one person who was consistent. Now, a few weeks later, you realize after all of the time and all of the effort and all of the energy and all of the money that you've put into Action SA and politics, you still had no power, none, nothing. And you've suddenly realized the only way to make this work is to turn tail, to betray everything you'd said previously and work with the ANC.
Well, Stephen.
Man, Stephen Hoters is really knocking this inside Herman Mashaba's head, that you said you will never work with the ANC. You said you will never work with the ANC. But today you are the one that is working with the ANC. You set yourself apart. You set yourself apart, but you realized that no, you don't have the power. You don't have the power, and the only way for you to actually get a piece of action is to go and join the African National Congress. So does it mean that the Action SA is actually, I don't know, I don't have a way to actually put it, because does it mean that the Action SA does not have the foresight to actually see in front of them? Because right now they are doing what other political parties have done for a couple of months now. It's almost as if they are just waking up right now and saying, yeah, maybe working with the ANC, it is not such a bad idea after all. This is after all of these political parties that Action SA has been criticizing. They have been telling them that we have to work with the ANC. This is the situation at hand. We have to work with the ANC, just like right now. Herman Mashaba is telling South Africans about all the reasons why he's working with African National Congress. Why does Herman Mashaba think that he's different from the DA telling South Africans about why they decided to get into the working relationship with African National Congress? He's doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing, but he doesn't want to appear as if he's doing the same thing with the DA. But truth of the matter is that Herman Mashaba is doing the same thing that the DA has actually done. We know that the DA said, guys, we don't want to work with the ANC. Working with the ANC is going to taint us. But if we don't work with the ANC, there is this doomsday coalition that is facing us. If we don't want to work with the ANC is going to work with EFF and MK Party, and we don't want that for our country. So our supporters will have to forgive us, but we're going to have to get in bed with the ANC so that we can stop the doomsday coalition. And the supporters of the DA, many of the supporters of the DA, they were very critical of the party. They were very critical of this decision of the DA working with the ANC after the DA has spent so much time telling South Africans that they will never work with the ANC. But again, the supporters of the DA, they had to understand that if the DA does not work with the ANC is going to work with the EFF and MK Party. So as much as the supporters of the DA hated the idea of the DA working with the ANC, they hated the idea of ANC working with EFF and MK Party more. They hated it more. So they said, fine, it's fine. Okay, we're going to allow the DA to go and work with the ANC. We know this is not something that we want, but we understand why the party is making this decision. So even Herman Mashaba right now is doing the same thing that the DA has done for a couple of months ago. So this is the reason why I'm saying that, does it mean that Action SA does not have the foresight to actually see what is happening? Does it mean that Action SA takes time to actually wake up to the reality? Because right now you have Herman Mashaba trying to explain to South Africans why Action SA will have to work with the ANC after Action SA has criticized a lot of political parties for working with the ANC. Does it mean that Action SA normally wakes up after some time
And I'm afraid your analysis is not really my own personal experience, including confirmation from ANC leadership and DA leadership. Even this morning, my wife and I were having dinner, listening on one of the television stations, listening to a DA leader, actually confirming that negotiations with the ANC and trying to spin it that they approached the ANC not to have a motion of no confidence in Tshwane. Their intention wasn't to remove us. But fortunately enough, Stephen, we're not really stupid enough. I mean, we acted on the basis of being afraid of being stepped in the back. I will never, as Herman Mashaba, be in the same house with someone who's prepared to really kill me and wait for that person to kill me and act afterwards, because I'll be dead by then.
Okay, a lot's going to happen in our coalitions, right? I mean, you currently, as Action SA, hold the position of Deputy Mayoralty of Tshwane. You could end up with nothing from all of this. And isn't that a big risk? I mean, what's the point of going into politics if you continue to end up with no power?
Well,
and isn't that where you are?
Well, Stephen, let the ANC and DA find each other. Good luck to them. But anybody who's going to expect Action SA to be in a relationship, be in a house where he can be killed any minute, I can tell you I'd rather be outside than be inside the house where I can really be killed.
Wouldn't that mean there's no one in politics, in our politics, for you to work with?
Well, that is why we're going to try the ANC. I think we're going to have tough discussions around more especially the issue of corruption. What has really destroyed the future of millions of our youth in this country is a corruption that has prevailed over the last 30 years. And we made it clear from the time the ANC approached us to talk to them. We said, guys, are you aware of our position, more especially when it comes to corruption? When you work with Herman Mashaba, one thing is clear. Corruption is public enemy number one. When you work with Herman Mashaba, Stephen, on anything, whether you are a friend or we politicians, we business partners, Herman Mashaba will never cover anyone on issues that are unethical. Herman Mashaba will never cover you. And also at the same time, Stephen, I don't want anyone to cover for me. It is for that reason, whatever I do in life, and I make lots of mistakes, I'm a human being, but one thing for sure is that no one can ever point a gun at my head and not really be able to fight back. And that is how I live my life. And as long as the ANC is prepared to work with us on the basis of saying, you know what, in the event that there's corruption, we both have to really confront it and confront it head on. Because Action SA is not going to cover you. But at the same time, Stephen, it's not a one-way stream, it's a two-way stream. We're saying to the ANC, please, with all Action SA deployees, in the event you come across corruption and you've got evidence, we don't even have to wait for counsel or whatever. We will harshly and brutally deal with that case of corruption, because corruption it's a cancer that honestly I despise. I've seen it actually destroy millions of the future of our youth.
Herman
So, like, Herman Mashaba, if you are so tough on corruption, so why are you even working with the ANC? Why are you even working with the ANC? Because you know very well, man. You know very well that the ANC is corrupt. You know very well that the ANC is corrupt. I mean, right now, as we speak, man, like the DA has faced a lot of criticism for saying that they will not go after Ramaphosa on the matter of Palapala. So the DA has been criticized heavily for that, because the DA is one of the political parties that actually wanted Cyril Ramaphosa to be held accountable for Palapala. But they said, no, the Palapala issue, it is not such a big issue, so we are not going to vote with any party that is going to oppose the motion of no confidence on Ramaphosa, especially when it has to do with the motion of Palapala. The DA, even right now, they are still being criticized for that. And these are some of the concessions that you're going to have to make if you want to work with African National Congress, because if you think that the African National Congress is going to agree to this notion of yours of no corruption, no, we don't want any corruption or any, like, this is not how it's going to go. Unfortunately, this is not how it's going to go. So if you are going to be so tough on corruption, especially working with the with the ANC. Especially working with the ANC, but I'm telling you, your relationship is not gonna last. Your relationship is not gonna last. So, guys, as we speak right now, the city of Tshwane does not have the leader. The city has 14 days to elect a new mayor. I can predict that the mayor that is gonna come is the mayor of the ANC, because the ANC, it looks like they are very serious about actually taking everything that was taken from them. They are very serious about that. They are very serious about that. Ramaphosa is still the president of the country despite the ANC losing the elections. Panyaza Lesufi is still the premier of Gauteng despite the ANC losing the elections in Gauteng. They have the mayor of Johannesburg is the mayor of the ANC right now. They have removed the mayor of the DA, and you can bet that they are going to put the mayor of the ANC. So it looks like the ANC, they simply want to go back to the factory settings, man, and operate as if they have won the elections. I don't know, guys. What do you think is going to pan out in Tshwane? Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Maba, so I will see you next time. Bye-bye.